few years ago, I kind of woke up one morning and I looked at myself in the mirror and I realised that what I was looking at was a big, fat, old lady. Now, you can laugh. I actually didn't laugh. But what I did do, I looked at that person and I thought, what the hell? Where did I go to? Where did that amazing woman that I've been all my life, where did she go? And I realised that in the process of what had become my menopause journey, I'd suddenly turned into this fat old woman. I know that sounds terrible, but that's exactly how I felt. And that's not who I am, not within me. So I decided I'd do something about it, and I set about losing a lot of weight. I started to find joy in my life. I looked after my gut health. There's a tip. I also started to do some more exercise, but exercise I liked, walking and yoga. And I started to be really grateful for the life that I led and allow that gratitude to really drive the way that I led my life. And that was great. It went really well. I lost a lot of weight. I looked great. I felt fantastic. And I wrote a book. And I wrote the book at a really cool time during COVID, when not a lot of people had much else to do but read the book. So I was lucky enough to sell a lot of copies and to get on telly and talk about it and to really spread the word. By the way, it's called The Butterfly Plan, Weight Loss and Wellbeing for Women of a Certain Age. Available on Amazon. No, you can go to my website. But still there was something missing. And I think that when the people around me would have thought about it, they would have said, no, you were great, you're fabulous. But I realised it was only part of my journey because there was something else missing within me. And the thing about menopause is that it doesn't just last for the period of time that you have symptoms of menopause. It's a thing that's a process that you go through potentially over years. And that's indeed my experience. I don't remember when my mum went through menopause because you didn't talk about it. You called it the change. I don't know what the change was, but that's what you called it. With Mum, I don't ever remember her mentioning anything about it, to be honest. I probably wasn't even living at home. But the difference between my mum and between me, and the generational difference, was that Mum was at home. She could probably manage the issues that she may have experienced on her own and not in front of an audience of radio listeners or boardroom tables or people in meetings when you suddenly get a hot flush and you've got to rip your clothes off. That is just one of the most distracting and horrible experiences. And then before you know it, you're actually freezing cold again and standing naked in a room. No, you're not. Not quite. So I didn't really have anything to base menopause on. It was like this secret that we all had and we all know that we have to experience, but nobody ever talks about it. Like a shameful little secret. And interestingly enough, a beautiful young woman that I know who's about to turn 40 came up to me just a few weeks ago and said, I think I'm going through perimenopause. I don't know what I'm going to do. I just feel terrible. And I thought, well, first of all, why are we whispering? We need to talk loudly about, well, she wanted to whisper because that means you're getting old. It means that part of you, that biological reason for your being is going. And with it goes so much. Interestingly enough, a few things, serendipitously, last week was International Menopause Day. Now, I didn't know that was the day until Facebook presented me with something that said it was, which made me realise that Facebook had been listening to me practice this TED Talk. Clearly. but it's not even something that we knew about. The other thing that's really interesting is that last year, the federal government got a Senate inquiry up and going on menopause and perimenopause and the impact it's having on Australian women. 25 recommendations were released less than a month ago, maybe 3.5 weeks ago. 25 recommendations. The first two, though, are the ones that kind of got me. And I don't know what these things cost, but they could have just rung me up. And I would have said, hey, here's 2 for you. Do some more research because we don't know enough about menopause. That's the first recommendation, is to do some more research so we can know more about it and how it affects Australian women. The second recommendation is that we need to create more awareness. And I think I could have told them that as well. And in fact, I wish somebody had created some awareness and at least given me a sense of what I might have been in for. And it might not have been such a shock for me and such a shock for all the women that I know. But the thing that I don't think that it will cover when they do these awareness campaigns, they'll probably talk about, look, they might even talk about dry vaginas. That's something that you see or hear occasionally. They'll definitely talk about hot flushes. They will talk about mood swings and they'll talk about the extra weight that you put on around your waist and you're never going to be able to eat the same things ever again, no matter how much exercise you do. They'll talk about all that, but what they may not talk about is the other impact that menopause can have on you. And there's a couple, I think, that are really central to what I want to talk about tonight. One of them is the invisibility cloak. And we all know that Harry Potter had an invisibility cloak, but there's been an invisibility cloak going around for years. And that's the one that is put on women of a certain age. It's the one that means you can be standing at a counter waiting to be served, and for some inexplicable reason, particularly if it's a male person serving you, the person to your left and the person to your right will get served, and then they'll see you, oh, sorry, I didn't see you there, even though you're right in front of them. And you think to yourself, oh yeah, that doesn't happen. It happens. Another friend of mine, and again, she said this to me recently. She's been on a particular board for a number of years, a fairly significant board in Victoria. And she said that when she goes to that board meeting, they've always been really fantastic. They've always really wanted her opinion because most of them are men around the table. They've always wanted her opinion, really valued it. She told me that she's suddenly invisible. Now, this woman, she's extremely attractive. She's very intelligent. She's highly regarded in the area of her expertise. And she said all of a sudden she's invisible around the board table. They don't talk to her or defer to her anymore. They almost get a surprise when they realise she's there. I mean, what's going on? Is it because, I wonder if it's because pheromones, like if you're biologically not able to reproduce, whether you want to or not, but if you can't anymore, then your pheromones disappear and then that makes you invisible to the opposite sex or even other people. Could it be that? Could it be that when you go through menopause, like I felt, you lose something within yourself and you just don't know how on earth you're ever going to get it back. But when you've lost that, you kind of become more downcast and you put yourself out there less. Or is it because women of a certain age are considered to be virtually obsolete in our society? Because really, I mean, men can be old and still sit on boards and work and do all those things, but women, I don't know. Maybe it's a combination of all of them. I don't know that there's ever been research done into that because I did Google and didn't come up with a lot. But it did make me think about the whole pheromone thing and the sexuality thing, and that really sort of stuck. I think that what happens when you lose the biological reason for your existence, because at base level, that's what it is that maybe, and I know a lot of women of a certain age who feel this, they've lost A, the desire, or B, the confidence to actually own their own sexuality. Sexuality is so important to who we are. However you see yourself, male, female, trans, LGBTIQ, wherever you lay in the multitude of options that your body gives you, it is part of the essence of who you are. And sexuality is about that inner vitality. And I realised that I think that was the thing that I was missing. I'd stopped feeling like I was sexually relevant. Now, men, and I'm not going to have a go at men, although I could, no, men don't, unless for some reason, an accident or a health issue, men don't lose that ability to reproduce. They can just keep going as long as, I don't know, Hugh Hefner or whoever, really old blokes, you know, who keep having children. But women can't. We can't do that. We're not afforded that opportunity. So then I thought, when you lose that biological reason for existing, why should you lose the sexual reason? The weird thing is we're one of the few animals on this planet that have joy and can get pleasure from having sex. But it's like once we can't have children, then that just all switches off. And I think there's hormone stuff to do with that, and, you know, doctors will explain that in those kind of ways. But as every woman in this room probably knows, the orgasm doesn't happen that way, it happens this way. So it means that we should be able to enjoy sex to the ripe old age of over 100, which I intend to live till. So that got me thinking. Sure, you're not menstruating anymore. And that's a great thing, can I just say? Because in reality, no more period products doesn't mean you won't need a continence product. That's a whole other story, and that's a talk for another time. I've had a couple of kids, let's not go there. You don't need to worry about having a baby, so there's no fear of getting pregnant. It's almost like once you get rid of the shackles of menstruation, you're almost like a man. You have the same freedoms. But what's so cool about this is that you're better than a man, no offence. You're better than a man because you've got all the amazingness of being a woman and this newfound freedom and excitement and power that comes with being a post-menopausal woman. Now, some people will go through their menopause and it'll be, you know, tickety-boo, easy peasy. Others, not so much. And most people somewhere in between. But the reality is some of these other things that happen to us aren't to do with the symptoms of menopause. They're more to do with what's going on in here. So I'd like to get everyone to think a little bit differently about this period of our life. A wise person once said the only way to get over something is to go through it. And women, we have to go through it. But once you get to the other side of it, I want the men and the partners of the women who are going through menopause to take on the challenge of adoring the menopausal and then postmenopausal woman. She is amazing. She has scars all over her body, more than a little bit of cellulite, some flabby bits here and there. But you know what? She doesn't care about that because she's beautiful. She is wise. She potentially has raised children. She's potentially helping her children raise their children 1 day a week or on opposite weeks, depending on the other parents. But yes, she is the most extraordinary individual in the world. I would love you to think about these women and as this chrysalis of menopause that they have cocooned themselves in unfolds itself and suddenly opens up an opportunity for them to break through. And when the fog clears, because you do get a bit foggy too, when the fog clears and the wings come out, I want you to see the magnificence of these wise, amazing women. They are the women around your board tables. They are the women helping to raise your children. They are the women who are doing incredible things, who are relevant, smart, wise, beautiful, and full of heart. They are the women that we can all be. And I would like you to embrace these women. And that is the matter of being a woman of a certain age. Thank you.